Hello, this is Angelia with today's wisdom. Today's wisdom comes from coming of age. When I reached puberty, my mother gave me a necklace to honor the occasion. Being young and naive, I questioned not. At the time, I did not know, nor was I interested in knowing, that what had just occurred was an abbreviated form of a ceremony called the Ritu Kala Samskara. A few years later, after talking to a Jewish friend about her bat mitzvah, I wondered why Hinduism did not have an equivalent ceremony to acknowledge this important stage of a young woman's development. When I asked my mother about this, she explained that the Ritu Kala was indeed just such a ceremony. And that's from an inspirational story. All of us who live to be adults come of age. We go through puberty, we change, and there should be some sort of a ritual that shows you are now transitioning from a child to an adult. My mother, her family had the talk. You sit down and you talk about the birds and the bees, and you provide them with a book of sorts to help them. I did this with all of my sons. I'm sure they'll be very embarrassed because their mother did this with them. But it's a way for you to honor that the child is transitioning, letting them know, okay, you're changing now. You were a kid, you've been a kid for the past, 10, 12 years, whatever age you think this should happen. Honestly, I think 10, because now more and more children are, engaging in sex earlier, and that's a shame. We have very young folks getting pregnant because they don't know the rules. Like, one of my sister's friends told her you can't get pregnant the first time, or, you don't get pregnant that way, you get pregnant other ways, and there's a lot of misinformation amongst our young folks. So it's better to not let their friends teach them about, sex, because they're probably going to get some bad advice. Because they probably got their advice from other folks who didn't exactly know what they were talking about either. So you can do this in a faithful way, and tell the child, you're going to have these urges. I heard one preacher calling them sexy urges or sexy feelings. And it's okay to tell your kid this. You're going to have desires. I would just call them desires myself. And that's natural because your body is now being filled full of hormones. And it's going to tell you, this is what we are getting ready to do. We want to do this thing. But it's natural to have these desires. But what we believe, because inclusiveness is always the way to go with your kids. When you say we, they're part of a society, part of your belief system, your family, or whatever. You say, we believe, you should wait until you're older and in a committed relationship and on and on. But when you have a ceremony that marks the changing from child to, teen, really, that's letting them know, hey, you're not a little kid anymore. Things are changing. You got to start paying attention and being aware of what's going on, because you're getting ready to be adult. This is your practice adult period. This is the practice adult period decade. There was, I studied a little yoga and things, and different things in, Indian cultures. I had one degree, well, yeah, it's a lesser degree, but in sociology. But yeah, I studied a little bit about stuff like that. And they have like certain sections of the lives, like, when you're 20, 30, you're supposed to be becoming tops in your, professional field. 30, 40, you settle down and start raising your children, and 40, 50, you become, the boss of the company or whatever, you're doing. And then 50 to 60, you start teaching, and you teach, what you have learned to others. And then when you're like 60, 70, you stop working and help take care of the kids, the grandkids and things, and help raise the family. And then like when you're 70, you go off in the woods by yourself and become a hermit and become more concerned with spiritual pursuits. But anyway, the ritual of transition honors them as the next generation of adults, the next fathers and mothers that are going to be. So it's a good thing to do with your kids. Is develop some sort of ritual, give them the information they need to know before they start acting on information they got from their friends, and prepare them for becoming an adult. And let them know the door's always open. If you have any questions, just ask. That's how we learn things. You learn that in kindergarten. So just be there for them, so that when they're coming of age, they realize that they are honored as the next generation of adults. Think about it. Please like and share this wisdom so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. That's all for now. Until next time.